Hi Year 6, welcome to this week's science lesson, which is all about classifying animals. For this lesson you will need your exercise book and a pen, pencil and a ruler. Today we are going to be learning how to classify animals based on their similarities and their differences. Some of the key vocabulary that we are going to be looking at today and you may be using in your activities are the words classify, similarities, differences, compare and taxonomist. If there are any words there that you are not sure of, don't worry, I've highlighted them in red as we go through the lesson and we'll discuss them as we get to them. So to start the lesson, I want you to think about one key question. How many different species of living things do you think there are on Earth? Have a little think now. Have a bit of a number in your head, a rough figure in your head of how many different species you think there may be. So scientists believe that there could be as many as 10 million different species on Earth. Now, if we didn't group those animals somehow, it would be very hard for them to study their behaviours or to study their lives. So scientists sort and group things according to their similarities and their differences. So things that they have that may be the same and things that are completely different. And this is called classification. Now, scientists who classify living things have a special name and they are called taxonomists. To understand how scientists group animals, we need to understand what classification is. So what you're going to need to do now is pause the video, follow the link below and watch the short video clip. In your exercise books, what I'd like you to do is note down the 5 different groups of animals that are shown in the video clip. Then when you've finished, come back and we'll have a look together. Right, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the video. So the 5 different groups of animals that you should have noted down are fish, reptiles, birds, amphibians and mammals. Now from those pictures that you can see there and the labels, you'll notice some things in each group they have in common. So for instance, some have a similarity that they are cold-blooded animals, some have similarities that are warm-blooded animals, some have things that are completely different. Some have scales, some have feathers, some have ear holes, some have 4 legs, some have no legs. As you can see on the slide in front of you, I have used one of our key words, which is taxonomist. Can you remember what that means? If you think that it means a scientist that classifies animals, you would be absolutely right. So for this example now, we're going to sort and group or classify some snacks. And as you can see on the screen there are lots of different ones. I want you to think about now, how could we group these snacks? Any ideas? If not, have a look at the next question to help you. Can you think of 2 groups to use to split up the snacks? So have a look at the snacks in front of you there. Is there any way you can split them into 2 groups where you have some things that are similar, some things that are different? So one group could be healthy snacks. So there you've got things like broccoli, carrots, grapes, bananas, apples, raisins, oranges. The other group could be maybe the unhealthy snack group. There you've got cakes, buns, sweets, chocolate, biscuits, ice cream. So that's one way you could classify those snacks. But are there any other ways we could group those snacks? So we've just had healthy and unhealthy as a way of classifying them. Are there any other ways? Think of some now. One way is that you could have fruits in one group and you could have vegetables in another group. So on the last slide we had fruits and vegetables. So I'm just taking the 2 vegetables, which were broccoli and carrots. How could we then classify those 2 objects, those 2 snacks, even further? Any ideas? So we could have the carrots, which we would classify as a root vegetable, and we could have the broccoli, which we could classify as a floret vegetable. The example with the snacks that we've just looked at is exactly how taxonomists classify living things. They group similar things together first of all, then they split the groups again and again, so the groups become even smaller and smaller, which will then make it easier for them to research and to follow and to investigate further. So each group allows the scientists to observe and understand their similarities and differences more clearly with the smaller groups. So now it's your turn to act as a taxonomist, and you are going to have to decide how you classify the animals that are in front of you, but you have to give reasons for your classification. So for activity 1, as you can see in front of you, there are lots of different animals for you to choose from. I suggest the more animals you choose, the easier it will be for you to start classifying, because it gives you more options for how you can start to group your animals, looking at the similarities and differences. The smaller the amount of animal you choose, the less opportunity you have to be able to use the similarities and differences between them. So here's an example of how you might present this activity in your exercise books. So for me, you can see in the top boxes where it says 4 legs and not 4 legs, those are all the animals that I chose from. So you can see there's quite a lot of animals that I started with. I started with the lion, chameleon, giraffe, poison arrow frog, chimpanzee, Komodo dragon, spectacled bear, meerkat, tarantula, lobster, hissing cockroach, macaw, octopus, giant snail, penguin and emu. All those animals were in one group to start with. Then I looked at things that were similar, things that were different, and split them into 2 groups. So you can see I chose to go with 4 legs and not 4 legs. So all the animals from that group that had 4 legs went into one side, and all the animals that didn't have 4 legs went into the other side. Then I looked at each group individually. So the animals with 4 legs I then split down again further into mammals and not mammals. So as you can see there, from the lion, chameleon, giraffe, poison arrow frog, chimpanzee, Komodo dragon, spectacled bear and meerkat, I split those, and you can see those in the mammals and not mammals. I then looked at that group again and split it down even further. So from the mammals section, I looked at the animals that were carnivores and the animals that were not carnivores. So there I've got the carnivores with the lion and the meerkat, and the animals that weren't carnivores were the spectacled bear, the giraffe and the chimpanzee. And that's because the spectacled bear and the chimpanzee are omnivores, whereas the giraffe is a herbivore. Then on the other side, on the not mammals, I split that group again into reptiles and amphibians. So we have the chameleon and the Komodo dragon, which are reptiles, and the poison dart frog, which is the amphibians. So that group was then classified and sorted. And as you can see then, from the top animals, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 animals, and we broke them down even further. So at the bottom, there's maybe 2 or 3 animals in each section. So if you were a scientist, if you were a taxonomist, it would be easier then for you to keep looking at those animals, observing those animals and really focus on those rather than focusing on all those animals at the top. It's quite a lot to focus on there. So then I went to the other group on the other side, the not 4-legged animals. So the tarantula, lobster, hissing cockroach, macaw, octopus, giant snail, penguin and emu. And I did the same process again. There's a lot of animals to look at if I was a scientist, so I'd want to break them down into more groups. So I've got more than 4 legs and less than 4 legs. And then again, once I'd broken those down, I did it again. I had land animals, sea animals, birds and not birds. There you can see I've got a smaller amount of animals to work with if I was a scientist. So now it's your turn. In front of you can see a list of all the animals that you can choose from, and I look forward to seeing your completed activity on Seesaw so that I can comment on it from there. Please make sure you continue to watch the video, because on the next slide is a science challenge for you to complete as well, to put in your exercise books. But if you need to come back to the video and pause it here to look at the animals to use in your activity, you can do. So for your science challenge this week, I know how you guys love a little sweet treat. So I have given you a selection of licorice all sorts. But what I'd like you to do is, can you use the idea of grouping, looking at similarities and differences between the licorice all sorts to classify them? And I look forward to seeing those in your exercise books. If you just put them underneath your classifying animals activity as science challenge or challenge, and then I can comment on them on Seesaw. See you next week. Bye.